In a time when journalism stands at the intersection of disruption and reinvention, one institution is betting big on bold ideas, smaller teams, and deeper community connection. With a $14 million mandate to rethink everything from revenue models to AI-powered storytelling, the newly launched Knight Center for the Future of News at the Arizona State University isn't just an academic exercise. It's a blueprint for rebuilding public trust and reimagining how journalism works and why it matters today. I'm joined by, I think I would say, two very forward-thinking leaders in our industry. First of all, let me say, welcome Julia Wallace, the Frank Russell Chair and Professor of Practice at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And Dr. I'm going to try to get this right, Battinto Batts. Did I say your first name correct?
You nailed it. You got it. You nailed it.
You're the dean of the Cronkite School of Journalism turned educator and one of the country's most influential voices on the future of news, at least according to ChatGPT. You may disagree with that, but that's what it says about you, sir. And the first question I think is more important than any. And I asked this question to an audience at the Burrell Conference at the school recently. No one knew the answer. I do. Do you, either of you know the name of Walter Cronkite's sailboat?
No, you've got me on that one.
How about you, Julia? Do you have any idea? He was an avid sailor. Those of you under 40 who don't know who Walter Cronkite is, I'm 68, so I remember him on the evening news on CBS. 19 years, retired in 1981. But he was a sailor, and he named his sailboat, believe it or not, Assignment.
Ah, okay.
The reason for that was obvious. Whenever he wasn't on air, his sub could always say, "I'm in for Walter, who's on assignment." There you go. But it's true. This is a true story. Julie, I don't know. There's fun facts to know and tell around the water cooler, if you care.
Exactly.
I mean, that's not why we're here today. We're here to cite the Knight Center for the Future of News. And together we'll explore why the old models are breaking, what journalism must become, and how the next generation of storytellers is being trained not to survive, but to lead. Wow, that's a good opening. Please stick around. We'll be chatting about that right after this.
Hello, my name is Walter Hussman. Our family has been in the news business for over 100 years. Journalism includes two parts, reporting the news and providing opinions. But in recent years, there's been too much opinion appearing in news reporting. This has eroded public trust in news reporting to the lowest level of any U.S. institution. To address this, we started a nonprofit, the Center for Integrity in News Reporting.
The Center for Integrity in News Reporting, CFINR, is on a mission to rebuild public trust in journalism, one newsroom and one classroom at a time. We champion the effort to have news organizations and journalism schools create and prominently display their own clear, concise statements of core journalistic values. Learn more by visiting the Center for Integrity in News Reporting site at cfinr.org.
All right, I don't know which of you wants to explore this, but why the Knight Center and why now? Julie, is that you or is that you, Doctor? Which one wants to take that one?
I think it's Dr. Batts.
It's
His idea, he gets to go.
it's a little bit of both of us, but I'll take it. So, the Knight Center is important at this time is because we're at an inflection point, both from the technological advances that are happening in our society and what it means to the production, distribution, and audience engagement with news, and then at the same time, audiences, continuing to disperse and a lack of trust in just media and information and news overall. And so we're facing an important time right now where we have to figure out how to re-engage with audiences, how to rebuild trust. Where does technology and the advances of AI and the like, where does that come into play here? How do we leverage this in meaningful and appropriate ways to help to move the industry forward and to a new model or new models? And that how do we find a sustainable future? And so we're at a critical juncture, and that we have the acutes are need are the acutes are really the needs are acute, I'm sorry, and that we really need to address this now. If not now, I don't know when.
Julia, I was reading the August issue of E&P where you were interviewed about the Knight Center, and you used this term. You said we're all about accelerating transformation. There's a word we've been kicking around for 2 decades. How do you define, Julia, transformation? What does it mean today to all the different forms of news publishers out there?
So I think it means community. I mean, I think if you really, I think sometimes we get lost thinking about it's about us, but it's about our communities. And what we've seen happen, and I've been around long enough to have seen all the changes, is what we've seen is that communities are left alone. They don't have the information they need. They don't have the valued people they trust, and that's what we have to solve. We have to obviously figure out the business models that are going to make that sustainable. We have to figure out the story techniques that are going to make that sustainable. We need to figure out how we're going to empower technology. But at its essence, it's all about community.
All right, here's another term that came out that the first time I've heard it. Maybe I'm just an old guy that misses things, but the term that came out in the article, you mentioned smaller teams, singular journalists, and you called them a flatter newsroom. Doctor, define a flatter newsroom, and what does that word mean?
Well, it means what I'm describing is that the days that at least that I'm familiar with, and you and Julia as well, from back when there were several layers to a newsroom, where there might have been a reporter who reported to an assistant metro editor or a city editor, and then there was a assistant managing editor, a deputy managing editor, a managing editor, executive editor, a publisher. All these layers, that's those days are gone. They're not coming. They're not coming back, at least in our lifetime. And that the model that has evolved now is flatter, in that it's the people who are producing news now are both the reporter, the publisher, the ad salesperson, the marketer, all of those things wrapped up in one. And that it's not this multi-layered corporate enterprise anymore, and that where we see newsrooms of 300-400 people.
Julia, it's a school. I mean, that's what it is. You work in a college. Students, and I saw tons of them. And I loved the facility when I saw it for the first time. But how are you preparing students to lead and, more importantly, thrive in today's environments, and hopefully where you hope to transform them?
So I think one of the things I've learned as a professor is we can learn more from the students than they can learn from us. And so I think that's what I'm excited about with the Knight Center, is that we will have students involved every step of the way, helping us think about the future. I mean, I can have all the ideas I want, but I'm not the generation we're targeting that we need to reach, that feels isolated and neglected by current media. And so listening to and brainstorming with and taking their ideas forward is going to be, I think, really important and very, very powerful.
In our article about the Knight Center we're publishing in the August issue, both of you talked about authenticity. Okay, doctor, what does it mean? Okay, I keep wondering because there's these terms, and I just want to define authenticity in today's media landscape, sir.
Sure. So authenticity really is speaking with voice that is, again, authentic to who we are and what we value and what's important to us, and then being able to resonate with our audiences with that voice, and that they have a sense of understanding for where we're coming from, and that it resonates with them, with what's important to them, and we speak with authority. And it's called what I call social capital, and that the audiences connect with people who are producing information that, again, that they find relevant and that they find useful, and that, again, speaks in a voice and in terms that, again, are connect with what's happening in their daily lives, and that they don't feel like the news organization is only just helicoptering in on a per case by case basis, but that it's they're really there day to day and part and parcel of the community, day in and day out.
Do you believe hiring reporters, Doc? I'll go to Julia. Do you believe hiring reporters from the community increases authenticity, Julia?
I think it can. There's an interesting project going on, the Documented Project, where they train people in the community to cover events. Love it. Absolutely love it. I do think that, we have got to, I think that there's some version of sort of here's our values that we believe in and join our tent, and that we make our tent much bigger than it is today with people from those communities. I mean, there are 17-year-olds, there are 90-year-olds out in the communities going to meetings through this program. And there needs to be more work like that.
Doctor, I sit on the fence with two important issues at ENP because I get interviewed about obviously unions, and half of my audience can be union positive and half my audience can be union negative. The other is AI. I mean, I embrace that tool because it's obviously helps me scale, keep costs down as we try to generate as much content as we can. But there are so many journalists that resent it. You mentioned AI a lot in our article as a new storytelling format, and you suggested experimental labs. Can you augment that, Doctor? What is the philosophy about AI? And I know that's a topic we can spend 3 hours on. We only got like 18 minutes for this chat, but give me the condensed version, if you could, of the philosophy of AI, especially when it comes to the Knight Center.
It's clear that AI is going to be the technological advancement of our time. I mean, the next one. I mean, and that is not going to be, but is. I mean, so what we want to try to do is make sure that we don't approach this the same way that we approach the internet, and that we wait too long or don't see the possibilities before it's too late, and don't find ways to not only adapt to it, but to leverage it and to be in front of it. And being in front of it means not just letting other people impose the technology upon us, but actually using the technology ourselves and coming up with innovations in terms of how the technology can be used and advanced. So when I talk about how we want to leverage AI, it is approaching it from a very aggressive manner, and that it's not always sort of trailing it and trying to figure it out and being led by the technology. We want to lead the technology. We want to utilize the technology. So what does that look like? It looks like partnerships with, hopefully, possibly technology companies who are deeply immersed in AI and developing new tools with AI, how we can test that on our platforms, how we can also not only just test how it works, but test how audiences engage with work that we produce or distribute using artificial intelligence. And so we want to take a leadership standpoint, and again, not to be always trailing the technology.
Something about a sustainability lab was in there. Julie, is that under your purview? And more importantly, how are you blending business ethics and business models into the training? In other words, or to the lab? I mean, we all know that we say this thing's sustainable. I've been hearing that for years. It requires revenue, no margin, no mission. We've used that. When we interviewed the Baltimore Banner on this show, I love what she said, we're a nonprofit. We have a nonprofit heart with a for-profit brain. You see where I'm going with this?
Nice.
So talk to me about the Sustainability Lab, and how are you infusing business models so people can think about, getting that top line revenue in?
I think it's a variety of things. Yes, it's about business models, but it's also about strategic thinking, right? It's about things like board governance. I think that part of the problem sometimes is people rush to the business model and don't do the hard work first to sort of figure out who are we, where are we going, who's our audience, how are we going to sustain ourselves, all those sort of business questions that need to be asked. And so I think one thing we will bring to the table is helping with some of that early work that needs to happen that helps you figure out the business model. I think too often we solution jump in this industry and then it doesn't work and we're surprised, right?
I hear you. All right, Doctor. Let's explore research, collaboration, and then the final measurement of impact. How will you define success 5 years from now from the Knight project? And are you applying any metrics to that or any KPIs, Doctor?
So metrics and the KPIs, those are still to come. But I would say overall, broad-based, what success looks like is that if we can build better relationships with audiences, have a better understanding in terms of what audiences want and why they want it, and that we can work to reestablish trust, and that we can have concrete examples of how audiences are engaging with the work that we are working to that we're producing, or that we're working in collaboration with others to produce products and services that we develop. That again, that it's audience-based solutions, and that they feel part of the process, and that it's something that can be replicated. It's something that won't just work here in Arizona, but it's something that can be replicated in other markets, and that people understand why, and that we're able to use a term from math, we can just not only just arrive at the answers, but we can explain how we got there. And so that would be very important, that we again trust, finding a way that, and then we're able to say why that trust came, and that there's something that can be replicated in other places, and that people feel that they've been a part of the process through partnerships and collaborations, and so that this isn't a walled off or siloed effort, but that they know what we're doing and feel like they've been part of our success.
Excellent. I only have a few minutes left of both of your valuable time, so let me let's go up a little bit and just explore the Cronkite School in general at ASU. Julia, this one's for you. Tell me some key ways the school's curriculum is adapting to the current and future demands of the industry, even beyond this one project. When you guys get up in the morning, and when you guys start, looking at those principles and what you're trying to do as an education, more than that, you guys are, the think tank. What are those key ways you're adapting for the future to train us to become better at our craft?
So I'm going to pitch this to Dr. Batts, because we've just completed the most comprehensive review of curriculum and totally updated every single class. So I'm
Doctor,
let him talk about that. It's quite important.
I asked a key question here, and you heard it first on E&P. What were these new things you're doing? Come on.
So yeah, I mean, we're still in the process of completing the biggest curriculum revision that we've had here at Cronkite, and that it's all about focusing on, number one, content creation, creators, and understanding audiences and innovation, and looking at not just journalism, but media overall writ large as an important skill and a competency that people need no matter what career or field that they go into. And so we're very excited about that, and that's really all about relevance, for us as a school. I mean, we are the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, but we're also very, very, highly engaged in the broad world of media. And so that's part of our leadership in what we do. That's part of us connecting with, future students, future leaders of this industry, entrepreneurs, people who will go to work in companies and help to drive their future. And so that's our responsibility. We've had a lot of success, and we're not resting on our laurels. And that means, seeing around not one corner, but several corners in terms of where things are going, and positioning ourselves to be there and to take advantage of those opportunities.
Dr. Battinto Batts, Jr., Dean of the Cronkite School at ASU. Julia Wallace, the Frank Russell Chair and Professor of Practice at the Walter Cronkite School at ASU. I want to thank you both for your valuable time, and I want you both to promise me that in a few months we can check in with both of you again and just see how this is all going. It's very exciting stuff, and we're excited to be part of it and amplify it here at E&P. Thanks for your valuable time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.